Generating proxy media in DaVinci Resolve is very, very easy. However, you do want to know exactly where those files are being generated to, as well as how to optimize your playback so that way you have a positive experience. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that, so let's go ahead and dive in. If we go ahead and go to our Edit tab, we have our files here in the media pool. If you don't see those files, then you'll need to just click on the media pool and it'll bring those back over. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select a few clips here. The way I did that is I left-clicked on the clip, and then I held Shift, and then I highlighted all my clips by clicking by the lowest one. I'm going to go ahead and right-click, and that's going to bring up my menu system in order for me to actually be able to navigate whether I want to generate optimized media, proxy files, and or apply a LUT to all those as well. But in this case, since we're doing proxy medias, we're going to go ahead and go down to Generate Proxy Media. If I click on that, it'll start the process of generating proxy media, which does take some time, so I'd allot some time for your system to actually create those. And then your proxy medias are then created. However, if you did not specify where you wanted those files to go, DaVinci Resolve is going to choose where your proxy media files live. So it is always important before you actually generate your proxy media to go into the project settings and specify the folder in which you want all those to go. Why is that important? Well, once you're done with the project, you want to make sure that you can delete those so that way you're not bogging down your hard drive with files you're no longer using, but also if for some reason you need to relink your proxy media, and you'll notice here on the menu system, there underneath Generate Proxy Media, there is Relink Proxy Media. So if there is an issue in the system and you need to relink, you know exactly where those files are, and you can go ahead and relink those without any issue. All right, let's go ahead and show you in the project settings exactly how to specify the pathway and also the resolution for those proxy medias before you ever start generating those. Project settings can be found either under File. If you scroll down, you will see Project Settings, or down over in the right-hand corner, you also have your Project Settings wheel here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then under Master Settings, you'll need to scroll down, and you will scroll down to both Optimize Media and Render Cache, as well as Working Folders. The Optimized Media and Render Cache specifies exactly how big those files, proxy media files, are, as well as what kind of codec you want to use for those. I always do quarter resolution and DNX HRHQX. That tends to work pretty well on my system. Also, for your render cache format, you want to specify what the color bit is on your camera. I'm working off a 12-bit RAW. However, uncompressed 10-bit does a pretty good job for me for when I'm playing back. I don't have any issues with color grading on there. You can see you do have other options to choose from. However, this is what works for me. All right, if we go ahead and go down to working folders, this is where you're going to find your pathways for your files. So that way, if again your proxies unlink, you can then easily find that location and relink those files. If you're fine with DaVinci choosing, it'll automatically choose a location on your hard drive in which to store those files. But if you want to choose, this is where you're going to do that. So proxy media generation location, you would click browse, pick the folder that you would want or the hard drive that you want, and then select that folder, and then you would go down over here and click save, and then it'll be established from there. Again, you do this at the very beginning before you start your project, so that way you'll have all this stuff go where you want it to go. Same with cache, file location, and stills galleries. I always have those go to the same drive so I can easily find those and easily delete those when I'm done with my project and I don't need those anymore. All right, so now that we've generated our proxies and now that everything seems to be like linked together and we're solid and ready to start our project, and I go into edit, if I'm not doing anything such as like polygon structures or masks, which I need fine detail to look in, I'm working off a very small screen here, so I really don't need to use the full capabilities of those proxies. So I'm going to go ahead and get a smaller version of that. I'm going to go up to playback, and if I go to playback, underneath playback, you'll see proxy handling. Proxy handling, you have disable all proxies, prefer proxies, and prefer camera originals. Since my files are very, very large and bogged down my system, I'm going to prefer proxies. However, if you're working off of something that's not a really large file size, such as like MPEG-4 or a 1080p file that just doesn't really take much but doesn't bog down your system, you can select prefer camera originals and work with the originals until it becomes an issue, and then it'll switch over to the proxies. But for my sake, proxies are where I live and edit, and so I'm going to prefer those proxies. Now, down over here, Under timeline resolution proxies, I always go to quarter. Now, if we look at the screen here, we have a not a very big size here for our viewing window. And since I'm working off a laptop and not a separate monitor, it makes sense for me to use quarter because it's working off of less than a quarter of my screen. And so the proxy resolution, I don't need something massive when I'm editing. So if I go down to timeline proxy resolution, I'm going to choose quarter because it's about a quarter of my screen and I'm not really concerned that much about details for the basic edit. Maybe if I go into, again, some like polygon structure for tracking or masks, then I might bump it up to half or maybe full. I hope that helps. If you have any questions or want me to make a video on something else, please leave it in the comment section below. Like and subscribe to help the channel, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.